as Eric introduced, I'm Audrey. I'm actually from Design Interactive, which is a technology development company in Orlando. And our whole objective is to empower people through innovative technology. So I'm specifically from the Performance Augmentation Division, and we do a lot of adaptive training, assessments, content generation, so figuring out the best ways that we can improve existing training protocols or create new protocols to increase readiness and optimize performance. So what I'm going to show you guys today is Imitate. So I've included, just for a heads up, a lot of demos and videos, but I really would love for you to be able to get a hands-on experience of it. So after this is done, we have a booth set up in the other room with tablets, and my colleague is presenting another technology that you'll see later on in the day. So please don't hesitate to come by and actually get a hands-on experience with that after we're done here. Okay. So Imitate is a web-based performance augmentation tool. So it's designed to either work live in front, sitting in an audience, sitting in a classroom, or post-session through pre-recorded video. So this is particularly relevant in today's day and age where increased training capacity in remote environments is obviously of paramount importance due to health and safety concerns. And across the board, people are looking to optimize their remote and digital training innovations. Imitate was originally designed for military instructors. So CPG, which is Cognitive Performance Group, who's our partner on this initial effort, created the MIND model, which was Military Instructor Development Model. So this was something that became standard within use with the Marine Corps. So it was originally paper-based, and it created key performance areas of looking at what makes an instructor a good instructor. So traditionally within the Marines, you could be, serving, you'd be deployed, you have your area of expertise, and then you could all of a sudden be thrown in a classroom without any experience teaching the next generation of Marines. So many people go to, secondary education for 4 years to be able to learn to teach people. College, even in, younger secondary educations, you have training for that, and the Marines weren't getting that. So they were interested in a technology that could accelerate the speed to which someone went from a novice instructor to a master instructor to really ensure that they're getting the best quality instruction along the way. So that's what we did. We took that paper-based MIND model, we integrated it into our tool to provide a really intuitive, easy to navigate, and consistent tool for evaluation within military instructors. So although it was originally within the Marine Corps, we've actually adapted it since to a variety of different contexts. So we DI created a Intel rubric, which was looking at interprofessional behaviors within military medical trauma teams. And we piloted that in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base with high fidelity medical simulation training. And we've done some work within industry, looking at training within corporations, and then also across traditional academic contexts outside of the military. So you'll see as I go through this, we've really worked towards increasing its use case so that if someone is trying to implement Imitate, it doesn't just serve one purpose. So you can use it in the classroom for your instructors, but you could also use it in the field for your field exercises. You could use it within training other contexts, and we really wanted it to be a well-rounded tool for all of your training needs. So the ConOps of Imitate was designed to function across 3 modules. So we've got the Prepare, which is what does good look like? So that could be pre-recorded videos that are then transcribed into lessons with expert annotated comments, things that can then be recommended to a user based on specific performance gaps. We've got the Practice module, which is live or video-based rating. And then we've got the Assess, which integrates personalized and adaptive feedback with really clear-cut explanatory data visualizations. This is also paired with one of our newer features, which is advanced data analytics. It allows you to look at trends organization-wide. So I'm going to break this all down and show you guys all of these features because it does a lot. So again, I mentioned that the prepare sessions allow you to take pre-recorded video, either of a previously rated session or just new content, and put it into a lesson format. So it provides the administrator or the expert that you're using to extract that knowledge. It gives them a guided form to pull out what content they're most interested in turning into that lesson. So this provides examples of maybe good or bad expert behavior to really show the learner what good looks like and what they need to try to exemplify. So we had originally worked towards creating a library of content for marine instructors, but since we've adapted this to other contents, we've also increased our authoring capabilities. So that's now the primary feature of our tool, is that we can give it to an organization who can then use the tool to create their own content. And we know that that evolves and changes over time. So you don't want to buy something and then, or implement something across your organization and then 6 months down the road realize that you needed to do something different, or you're choosing to utilize a different assessment method or a different training protocol. So we wanted the tool to be able to evolve with the user, so we created the authoring capabilities. So within prepare content authoring, you can upload videos, clip them, tag content, add annotations, and then assign them to users. So I've created, whoops. Let's see if this is working. Okay, so this is a little video I'm going to talk as it goes in the background of how you would go about creating a lesson within Imitate. So you can see that you can go in, you can add the title of your lesson, you can, and I'm sure I'm going to talk faster than I typed here, but you can assign a proficiency level, because that's another component that we wanted to have. It's that proficiency-based lessons. So again, we're looking to increase from novice to master, so it would make sense that the lesson content can also be designated to associate with one of those proficiencies. Then you would upload a video. You can see here that you can clip it to the designated time box. If you have a 3-hour exercise, it's not going to make sense to upload that entire video and then expect something to get someone to get the very small amounts of content or meaning that you wanted out of it. So you can time box it to as low as 30 seconds of content. You can then go in and add a session description. You can add introductory content, so warning the learner, what they need to look out for as they watch the lesson, giving them, content to prepare them for what they're about to view. You can then add summary content, allows you to, drive the point home, maybe give them reflective questions, ensure that they really absorbed what the purpose of the lesson was. And then the final step is you can tag related content. So all of these lessons are meant to be cyclical, so that you get your results at the end and you get recommended a lesson based on specific performance gaps. So in order for that to work, we built in an adaptive recommendation engine that will recommend lessons based on the specific gaps, your lowest behaviors, how areas that need improvement. So you can see here, if I ever get to that point in the video, you can actually search through existing content and tag that lesson to the content that it's related to, which we'll just, I guess, have to come see me in the booth to see all of that. So for the practice module, we have our rating. So again, I mentioned that it was live rating or video-based rating, and I'm going to show you a little bit of both. But both methods are meant to function as a standardized and consistent rating scale. So either you receive validated content from us, or you're creating your own expert-based rating content. But the beauty of that is that everyone in your organization is using the same content. So the ratings are all time synced and then provided in a consistent unified AAR. They can be captured and used to do actual structured immediate AARs together, because both the learner and the admins both receive the same results. And we also support really detailed rating anchors so that everyone has the same basis for what a 1 looks like and what a 2 looks like. So show you here, this is our live rating interface. This is actually on a laptop, but we also support mobile. So the next interface I'll show you is tablet, so you can see a little bit of the difference. So each of these color-coded cards represents a key performance area. So those are, the primary overarching features of what makes someone good at whatever it is you're assessing. So this model is the MIND model for instructor development. Each of the color-coded items below the header card is a behavior, and that's what you can actually see and rate. So you can see here, I'm selecting a behavior. On the right-hand side, anchors are popping up on a 1 to 5 scale. And those anchors are really detailed so that the person who's using the tool, when they're first getting comfortable with it, can see what someone at a 1 looks like and what someone at a 2 looks like. Traditional paper-based assessments are generally Likert scales that go, on the, poor to excellent range, and my 2 could be someone else's 3, and you don't really know how those supervisors or those observers, how they're utilizing the metrics. So we provide that guidance with the understanding that as someone gets more comfortable, they might have to rely on that. You can rate as many times as you want throughout a session. So you can have a 3-hour exercise, as I've mentioned, and maybe someone was really, really great in the beginning, but as stress picked up or as they got tired, maybe their performance starts to plummet. And if you had one score for that entire session, you wouldn't have a really great depiction of performance across the entire duration. So allowing users to rate as many times as they want throughout that specific session allows you to, in the results, see that timeline of performance across the entire exercise or lecture. This is an example of our video-based rating. So same UI. We wanted it to look really consistent across the board, but now you've got the video in the left-hand corner. This is really great for that increased training capacity I mentioned. So maybe there's someone who is an expert in this field and you really want to get their feedback, but they can't make it to be here with us today. So you would then be able to send them that video within Imitate to rate in their own time and then still have that result integrated with all of the other results and in all of your analytics to bring that expert knowledge to the user. It just makes it much more accessible and really increases the capacity of the training tool. You can see as you're rating, the timestamps appear on the timeline. You can undo ratings. You can also add unrated events, which is something that we got feedback from our pilots within the Marine schoolhouses. They loved the tool, they were using it, and then for some reason, the superior officers who were doing the ratings were still having a little notepad to the side and jotting down physical notes. And we're like, what are you doing? That is not the purpose of this tool. It's supposed to be all in one. So that prompted us to add these unrated events that would allow them to take their notes within the tool while still providing them with that timestamp so that they know when they're doing their AAR, that's when they realized that someone was doing a skill incorrectly, or that's when they realized they needed to follow up. Because not every note is going to be related to the KPAs, but they're still relevant and still need to be included in the AAR. So again, that's us trying to make it a holistic training tool that has everything you need for your AARs. Again, touching base on our authoring capabilities, in addition to authoring lessons, we can also author rating scales. So I just showed you the mind model. We've created the medical trauma team model, but then we can give it to the user to create their own validated, internally validated, expert-driven metrics. So this allows the user to still replicate our clean UI with the structured, color-coded, easy-to-navigate features with their own content. So you can add KPAs, assign them colors, and then go down as far as to the anchor level of authoring your anchors. This provides a little bit more flexibility in that we think that the inter-rater reliability benefits of really detailed anchors are there, but not everyone has the time or the interest of going to that granular level. So you can also, if you're authoring your own scales, do the poor to excellent, and it's in the user's hand on how they choose to implement that feature. This is just another quick video demonstrating how that works. We've got rating system management that lets you see and edit existing content. You can edit completely from scratch. So if you were coming up with a competency model from scratch, you can do it in this tool, but it also supports cherry picking and restructuring of existing content. So if you have a validated metric that you're using within your organization that's maybe 20 KPAs long and you've realized that you really only want to use maybe 5 of them for a particular exercise, it's not always all going to be relevant. You can go in our tool and cherry pick existing content to create new restructured metrics really quickly on the fly. I mean, this is an example of me creating a new rating system in probably 5 minutes. So it really, it again ensures that everyone is using the same items across the board within your organization. So the next couple of slides are going over the results for Imitate. So our results are designed to function across 3 increasing levels of detail. So we have summary results, which provides an overall picture, the overall average, averages across the KPAs and the behaviors, but it also provides this opportunities for greatest improvement. And what this does is it is that adaptive feedback component where you can have recommendations for things to try next time or tips and prompts based on your lowest behaviors. So it narrows in on those performance gaps and provides recommendations for the future so that then when you start the cycle again and you go back to prepare, you're getting those lessons that are identifying the gaps and you're working on those skills that then you can practice and then hopefully within your next assessment have new areas for improvement, because the idea is, this learning is much more accelerated with this process. The detailed results break it down a little bit more granularly. You can drill down into the lower KPAs, so individual KPAs, or as low as the behavior level. You can also export all this data. So we think that the data visualizations are a great tool, especially for AARs, but we know that some people might want to just have the raw data. You can export all of this into CSVs or PDFs so that you have that time-stamped rating data for those sessions that then you could maybe do external statistical analyses or have for records. So we understand that you need both. I think the most unique feature of our tool is the video-based AAR. So it facilitates accelerated learning by allowing you to actually look and see where your performance gaps are occurring. So that's the video. So as I showed you in the rating, every time a rating is made, a timestamp appears, and that allows you to then, when you're looking at the AAR, you can go through and see every rating made, its rating, its associated comments, and the timestamp it was made at. You can watch through your session as an observer. So you can hit play, and what it will actually do is it will highlight and scroll with the ratings as they're occurring. So you can kind of be an observer to your own performance. But you can also select a rating, view it, see all of the comments and the anchors, and just quickly go through. So it's meant to function for whatever type of AAR environment you need most in that moment. This is just a quick video of those results. So when you're looking at this screen, the grayed out behaviors are things that aren't rated. So again, going with the idea that not every single metric is going to be the same, given the situation. Those aren't factored into the overall rating. So it's not factoring in those unrated events. You can also toggle for highest behaviors. So it's a known fact that you don't want to just tell someone the bad things. You're supposed to do a compliment sandwich. So we also integrated a feature where you can tell someone their best skills, so what they're doing well at, where they're improving. And so that's also in this AAR tool. This graph here is the behaviors over time graph. So that's where you can see if something was rated 5 times over the course of an hour-long session, you could see how it changed throughout the duration of the exercise. I think this is oftentimes the most informative over the paper-based assessments. And then here is our video-based AAR. You can see all of our time-stamped rankings along with the unrated events. And then on the right-hand side are all of the ratings made with their timestamps. And then when you select one, it shows up with the associated comments, the timestamp, and what it does here is it allows you to actually select that Go to Timestamp button, and it'll bring you to 10 seconds before when that behavior was made in the video. So again, it's pairing that expert feedback with actually seeing yourself do something poorly. A lot of times people have that cognitive dissonance where they think they're really good at something and maybe they're not, and when you actually see it, which I know when I see the video of me doing this, I'm gonna think that I was, swaying oddly or using weird gestures, and I'm not aware of it in the moment. But if I see the video, I'll be able to recognize that. I could even stick it in Imitate, get someone to rate it for public speaking, and then utilize that to then increase my performance the next time around. So the next couple features are things that are very new. Some of them you'll be able to see when you come to the booth. This one is one that is still a work in process. So this is our offline mode. So as I mentioned, Imitate is a web-based tool. But there became a need as we adapted outside of the classroom to be able to facilitate field-based assessments. So in order to make that happen, we developed a tablet-based offline mode that allows you to sync up with the server to download content. So you can download rating systems or user accounts that you think are relevant, and then take them into the field when you're no longer connected to a Wi-Fi or the server, and rate in the field. So this is something that's still in a very limited version, but our ultimate goal with that is to then facilitate linking it back up to the server so that all of these results can then be integrated within our holistic data analytics. We also have the analytics feature, which became really useful as we were doing our pilot within military medical trauma teams. They were increasingly interested in tracking organizational trends. So we did within Wright-Patterson, we learned that they utilize a kind of consistent simulation training environment, but the ways that they were assessing performance within them was very diverse. And they were very interested in learning which one was most effective. So being able to really quickly assess the different types of training protocols and determine what the best method was moving forward. So So utilizing Imitate, we're hoping to be able to increase that, that consistency and be able to track those trends so that people are able to evaluate their own training methods. So within those analytics, we have organizational metrics. So this just allows you to see how people are using the tool. So that includes things like number of logins, the number of practice sessions that have been rated, the number of times that people have completed lessons, so just overall time in the tool. If your people aren't learning as quickly as you want them to, you can check in here and see, wow, it's because they're not using it. They're maybe not utilizing all of the features and able to increase that adherence. We also support group-wise comparisons, so the ability to add specific individuals into groups. And which something that you'll be able to see if you come see me out there, we do also support team-based rating. So you can add multiple users to a team and rate the team. And that's something that you could evaluate in this tool. So compare teams to how they stack up against each other, how someone's performance may be changed across the course of a semester. So not just session to session. And all of those different comparisons can be done within our analytics tool. We also support individual user profiles. So this allows you to select a specific user, see all of the results session that they've been a part of, but also see their holistic metrics. So their overall averages, their highest and lowest behaviors across all time, or broken down into lower chunks, just so that you can track that specific user's progression from novice to master. That's all of those features. I probably sped through that, but does anyone have any questions on any of the things you just saw?
Okay, I got one for you. Former security forces guy. Want to do team movements. You had talked a little bit about that. In fact, I had seen a prior video where there was some Marine Corps movements. Explain a little bit more about how we can take that, whether it's in the field, whether it's people in a classroom working together. It's not just a classroom tool. This is a tool that could be used in many different ways.
Correct, yeah. So one of the metrics we've integrated was actually a squad adaptability metric. And that was when this offline mode first came into being. So we were interested in taking Imitate into the field so you could have multiple raters in disparate locations, all rating different interactive, team-based collaborative efforts, and then have it integrated. So that's something that we do support. So you could have 5 people rating the same session, but maybe they're getting different components of it. So maybe there's team A and sub-team B, and they're all being rated within the same session. And then after the fact, all of those ratings can then be integrated within the same AAR. We also support team on the lower level in that you can add users to a specific team, rate them on their collaborative. They get one rating together, but then they have their own unique results where they can get specific comments that are tagged out to the user, things like that. Were you talking specific movement based, like integrating movement data?
Sure, could be. Mm-hmm.
That's actually something in our future roadmap. There's a lot of different things that we would like to integrate within supplementary sensor technology. So maybe integrated automatic systems data from external sensors, or we've done some really preliminary work on integrating stress data. So having wearable sensors and integrating stress data into the tool to provide automatic flagging on how someone's physiological state is doing in addition to their performance basis. So there's a lot of things that we can do to integrate with the tool to really, again, just layer on every single method of assessment you'd like to utilize, we would like it to be in the tool. So really having that interoperability to be able to have all of those measures into one cohesive measure of readiness.
So in closing with this, again, back to my field movements and so forth, I know that firearms training is a big deal in the Air Force, as it is across all the components. So the possibility then of taking sensors off firearms training simulators and incorporating them into this and giving feedback to a student who is using that weapon system in a simulator's situation is capable, you're capable to?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're talking future roadmap. It's not
Sure.
something we're currently doing,
Right.
but absolutely we're interested
Great.
in being able to integrate that kind of data in the
Absolutely.
future and with future. I mean, this is a research, R&D effort. So there's constantly getting feedback from our pilots. It's being in use in several Marine schoolhouses right now. We've done the pilot with the Air Force. We're getting active feedback from those groups and figuring out the best ways that we can adapt this to really solve all of their training needs. So constantly evolving and definitely looking towards integrating those kind of technologies.
So now is the time for Air University to get on board or get in there and begin to give some feedback, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting new pilots all the time, being able to, we can create custom rubrics, but we can also facilitate adapting the tool and creating additional functionality to suit specific needs.
Awesome, Doc. Thank you very much. Give her a hand, please.